Hi everyone, thank you for joining me once again. Today we're going to talk about some very unusual amulets and what they were used for. So Gershom Shalom, the same famous researcher of Jewish mysticism that we talked about in the previous video, has also researched very unusual amulets during the days of the Renaissance and perhaps even the Middle Ages. He's pointing out a very interesting amulet from the 14th or the 15th century in Italy that is actually made for love. What happens in this amulet that there's a woman and she's asking for help so the man that she loves will fall in love with her. The thing is that upon this amulet, they reach out to Agrat Bat Machalat and Asmodeus to assist, and they are demons. We know that when one is using amulet, is reaching out to angels, angelic forces, the divine, and here they're actually calling demons to assist in an amulet for love. On the surface, it makes no sense, so we need to dig deeper as we research into this phenomena. We know, for example, that in the 19th century, in the area of Persia, we find amulets calling for Bilal. Bilal is someone that is associated with Asmodeus, and also in some of the amulets in Europe, they share the same name. And many times he is being called alongside the god Bat Machalat in different amulets to assist in different things, such as love and protection. And in these amulets from Persia, they turn to him as a king. They respect him. In a book called Sefer Raziel, Angel Raziel, we have this diagram for an amulet that beneath it says, you will not harm the one who bears this amulet, any supernatural being, but at the same time the writer is also writing, I'm calling upon Asmodeus and Agrat Bat Machalat to protect the bearer of this amulet. So what's going on? How does all of these things make any sense? We know that on incantation ball in Iraq in the first century, sometimes they called upon demons to protect someone or a house. It was the same with women in the old territories of the Ottoman Empire. They called upon demons if they saw that someone was sick, and if they thought that maybe this demonic force is the cause of this illness, they not only banished this demon or demonesses, sometimes they offered them things, gifts to appease them, to make them feel very welcomed and to actually take care of this illness and take it away. We know the same stories from Morocco, and we know that many of them were not necessarily either good or bad. This reflects something very ancient. In ancient Mesopotamia, the word shed or shadow, in Hebrew demon is shed, wasn't necessarily something bad altogether. It was complicated. It was a supernatural being that could have been just like humans, either good or bad. It meant that it was supernatural. We know that those same phenomena drift into different ancient mysticism practices all over the world. But in the first centuries AD, when Christianity is becoming more popular in Europe, when they want to distance the people from everything that was before that, they turn every supernatural thing into something bad. And this is things as we know them today. There's an absolute evil, there's absolute good, and those two can't mix. But in ancient mystical practices, we see that things were more complicated, more flexible, more fluid. And so we have this very unorthodox phenomena of sometimes turning to demonic forces to actually help with protection or love. And they say that even in very ancient texts like Song of Songs, when there's someone walking in the fields asking for the love of someone to help them to become one with their lover, it's not necessarily the divine or angels, it could be many different supernatural forces, maybe even demons. So when we come across a phenomena that seem less than orthodox, we need to understand the environment and the circumstances that created it. It makes us ask questions about how people view the world, the supernatural world, how they dealt with their everyday lives. And if you have some very unusual amulets in your house or maybe a manuscript, I would love for you to share them with us. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.